And welcome to Jacked Up Politics. My name's Jack. I'm a second year government and political science student here in UCC.
Hi, my name's Tom. I'm a second year BA History and Politics student here in UCC as well.
So, this is the first episode of the podcast Jacked Up Politics. So, today's episode is called Tonn Nua or New Wave. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the upcoming Irish local election and the upcoming general election, and a bit about the upcoming UK general election as well as the US general election. So, just looking there, Tom, at the moment, Politico have stated that Sinn Féin are hovering around 36 to 28% in polling at the moment, while FG and Fianna Fáil are hovering around between 14 to 28% over the last 3 years. Kind of a bit interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting, and I think when you look at the figures and you look at, I think there's two stories to tell here. There's the individual figures and there's what the figures mean altogether. And what I mean by that is, if you take Sinn Féin as being more popular than Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil individually, that is quite interesting. But Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil together outnumber Sinn Féin in terms of that poll. So look, a lot of people, I think, over the last few years have been talking, and I've read this stuff in papers and whatnot. Some people think there's going to be an inevitable government of the left, so to speak, some kind of Social Democrat, Sinn Féin, Labour coalition. That could happen, but I think, look, being realistic, the current coalition could get re-elected, Sinn Féin could get in the government. We really don't know what's going to happen. I think there could also be a surprise before the election. You never know. Someone might pull something out of the bag.
Definitely. It definitely can't be discarded anyway. No. I'm of the opinion, definitely, that I was reading an article there throughout the weekend that Social Democrats are now holding around 7% of the popular vote when it comes to polling. And what struck me about that was that before the 2020 election, they only had two TDs, Catherine Murphy and Roisin Shortall. In the 2020 election, they tripled that to 6. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you look at what Holly Cairns has done, she's done absolutely fantastic stuff for the last year that she's been in charge. And I remember watching Holly's speech on television and thinking, wow, she's definitely going to be the Taoiseach in years to come. But, I think if I was a betting man, I'd say the Soc Dems are going to be the ones to watch. I wouldn't rule out Fianna Fáil being in the next government for one reason and one reason alone. Is a buddy of mine was saying to me that they haven't catastrophically messed up coming into this election cycle. So while they still are going to lose seats, they're not going to lose as many as people think they are.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I think with Social Democrats, I could see them potentially swallowing up a whole swathe of people who voted Green in the last election. Because I feel, from talking to Green Party supporters, a lot of people who voted Green in 2020, they're kind of annoyed at the Green Party now because they feel that they've sort of abandoned the principles they campaigned on in 2020. So I don't think they're going to support the Greens next time around. I think Social Democrats could potentially swallow up a whole swathe of people who voted Green in the last election. That's my prediction. So I think Social Democrats are 6 TDs now?
Yeah.
I think next election, anywhere from 13 to 20 TDs. Potentially?
Yeah.
I'd say they'll do well.
That's definitely the numbers they're looking at anyway. And an interesting thing that Politico had about the upcoming Irish locals in general is that there's still a significant amount of support for Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, and that they can't be completely ruled out. That
Absolutely.
And that it's a case of either one or the other it's nearly definite. One of them is getting back into power the next time around, because it would seem that the advantage Sinn Féin had up until 6 months ago, you would have been saying, yeah, Sinn Féin are going to be in the next government, they're going to be the majority partner, and they're not going to need Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael. But Sinn Féin have become the products of their own success, I want to say, because they've literally cannibalized their own. They've cannibalized their own demographics in the electorate. That like they've kind of been tiptoeing around issues and not really taking a firm stance like Holly Cairns and the Social Democrats have, or Leo Varadkar in Fine Gael for that instance. But if there was one thing I would definitely be certain of in the next general election is that we are going to see a massive swing in demographics in terms of an election. I'd nearly be like, if I was to put money on it, I would probably say you're probably looking at Sinn Féin definitely getting at least 50 seats, if not more, right? You're probably looking at Soc Dems getting between 13 to 20 seats, like you said.
Yeah.
And I reckon we'll see Fianna Fáil getting around between 20 to 25 seats in the next election. Now, people might think, listening to this, Jack, you have your figures wrong. They mightn't get 20 to 25 seats. They might get more. The way I see it, folks, is that Fianna Fáil are going to have a natural drop-off in people running in the election. They have candidates retiring that don't want to... they have candidates retiring that won't necessarily be able to be replaced. Like if you look, for example... like I know this is a Fine Gael example now, but David Stanton in East Cork. We both know David Stanton was a fantastic TD for East Cork for God knows how long, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And now that David Stanton is retiring, the question has to get asked, who's going to replace him? And are they going to be able to do what David Stanton did over the last 25 years? Now, us personally, like we might not always agree with Deputy Stanton's policies, but in terms of being there for the public in East Cork, he has been phenomenal. And
he has actually, and like he's attended a good few over the years now. I think he's attended like almost all community meetings in terms of infrastructure projects. And actually, since the flood in Middleton, he's actually been one of the strongest voices in the Dáil, Deputy Stanton, for keeping pressure on the OPW and the government to construct the flood defences. So yeah, like undoubtedly he has been a good TD for East Cork. There's no doubt about it. But I just don't see who Fine Gael could potentially get to replace him. Like Deputy Stanton, he wants to step down, and look, good for him. He's earned that right. But, you know, years of service. But, yeah, I don't know who they're going to get to replace him. Now, you said earlier, and I found this an interesting point, that I think it was Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil, one of them is going to end up in the next coalition. I've been thinking about this lately, and I honestly think what I could see potentially happening, and you may disagree with me, people may disagree with me, it's fine. I think if Social Democrats, Fianna Fáil coalition is not entirely impossible. And I kind of think that because when you look at Fianna Fáil over the years, throughout their history, they've kind of the two big ones, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, they were always kind of more the ones who were kind of into, you know, spending public money on public projects, sort of Keynesian economics, infrastructure, plenty of money to spend on public services. That was kind of Fianna Fáil for most of their history. And that's kind of what the Social Democrats are sort of, you know, running on now. More public services, more money for infrastructure, that kind of thing. So I think if Social Democrat, Fianna Fáil coalition is not impossible, I think it could happen.
yeah, definitely can't be ruled out anyway, Tom. That's for certain. Another interesting thing about the Social Democrats' push for more public services is they actually have brought out a mug, right? Like a
Yeah,
right?
I saw it.
Sex, drugs, and public services.
Sex, drugs, and public services.
You can't beat it, like, you know.
Sex, drugs,
Whoever designed that mug, you have to give him a pat on the back and say.
No, in fairness, it is good. Sums up their
brilliant.
policies and ideologies quite nicely. Yeah.
Did you ever hear the joke about Charles Haughey and the election in the 1987?
No, I haven't.
Right. So a good buddy of mine from Dublin tells the story that back in 1987, Charlie Haughey was going for a general election.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing was that Haughey had spent thousands of pounds on getting these leaflets. Right.
Right.
And everyone was chipping in, doing whatever they had to do. But there was one postmaster in Dublin, absolutely despised Charlie Haughey.
Right.
Didn't like him. He was a staunch Labour supporter and decided, you know what, I'm going to do Haughey bad here now, right?
Yeah.
So, basically, leaflets come in. Oh, where are they going? Grant, your man stamps it. Yeah, put them up on the truck. 3.5 weeks later, 10,000 leaflets with Charlie Haughey's face end up in Karachi, Pakistan. No one knows how they got there or why they got there.
Oh my god.
It was actually so bad, right? There's actually a Wikipedia page about it, right?
I need to look that up later.
Right? And it's called the Karachi incident, right? That 10,000 leaflets of Charlie Haughey's face end up in the capital of Pakistan. Like, you can't be making this stuff up, like, right?
That's Irish politics.
Exactly. Now, kind of focusing now on the kind of local elections, Tom. Both of us are we're both kind of very analytical when it comes to this whole politics side of things. But I think what is going to be absolutely fantastic now, coming up to the locals now in a few weeks' time, or in a few months' time, my apologies, folks, is the fact that this could actually be a big chance to see how the general election is going to play out, you know? That, like,
it's almost like a testing ground.
Exactly. Like, you're going to see a lot of swing either to the left or to the far right in the locals, I think, right?
Yeah.
But, like, I don't think we're going to see any far right candidates getting in the next general. I honestly don't think that. I think it's just too far-fetched. Because, as we've often talked about, Tom, the far right often cannibalise demand for each other, right? And it's a bit like Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael cannibalising demand for each other, you know?
Yeah.
Because they kind of both run on they kind of both run on the same Christian Democratic ticket, and they both kind of run as a centre-right Christian Democratic Party. They both kind of suck the same kind of
voting
block, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, now, a Fianna Fáil voter and a Fine Gael voter will tell you there is distinct differences between a Fianna Fáil
and Fine Gael. Absolutely, yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, look, I've met a lot of Fine Gael voters in my time. I've met a lot of Fianna Fáil voters. I have family members who would support the parties. And if you turn around to them and said, I think these parties are the exact same, they would turn around and they'd snap at you and they'd bring up the Civil War and Charles Haughey and Liam Cosgrave, and they'd say things like, Fine Gael's the party of law and order, you little charlatan, you know, that kind of thing. And they might say something like, Fianna Fáil is the party of social progress, you uneducated little twerp, you know? Like,
definitely.
But I think it's something in the older generations as well. I'm not trying to bash older voters now, but...
Definitely. And, like, there's an interesting correlation between what's going on and between the boost in popularity for Social Democrats and the decline in popularity for Sinn Féin. If you look at it, people like Holly Cairns, and I'll tell you why people like Holly Cairns.
Absolutely.
She's progressive.
Yeah.
She speaks from the heart, right?
Yeah.
And third and foremost, thing about Holly Cairns is she listens and she cares.
Yeah.
And I think people feel like when they talk to Holly Cairns, they feel like they're listened to. They feel that they're respected, you know? And I think, like, no disrespect to Mary Lou MacDonald. She's a fantastic TD. But I just think that she sold her soul to the devil in one way.
Perhaps.
Because she's so determined to become Taoiseach, I think she's forgotten about...
She's forgotten why she got into politics in the first place.
Exactly. Like, she's forgotten about Joe Bloggs, you know?
Yeah.
And Joe Bloggs is the one that is going to be the one that... Joe Bloggs is going to be the one that puts her into office, you know? And if you forget about Joe Bloggs, you're not going to be long remembering or feeling the wrath of Joe Bloggs and the general public, like, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I find it interesting, though, that Holly Cairns is... I think she's the second most popular party leader after Micheál Martin. I think they're both seen as... You know, like, Cairns, I think she's at 41%-ish, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Approval rating in the 40s. But the Social Democrat Party is only about 7%. So, I mean, there's a discrepancy as well between party leader and party.
Yeah.
So, you're mentioning earlier the popularity of Holly Cairns. I'm thinking, could we see something similar to what Labour did in 1997 in the UK? The sort of presidentialisation thing, where it's like they really pushed Tony Blair as being the face of the Labour Party, right? And it was almost like in every constituency, look, vote for your local Labour MP. It was in the UK in the 90s, obviously. And even if, Tony Blair isn't directly on the ballot, a vote for a Labour MP is a vote for Tony Blair. That was a big thing that Labour did in 97. That's why they won. And I could see the Social Democrats employing a similar tactic with, really pushing Holly Cairns as not just the leader of the party, but the face of the party and a person who represents what the party represents. I think they might do something like that.
And I think the fact they kind of switched from a kind of co-leader model to a leader and deputy leader was kind of a sign that they were getting ready to push the party forward for an upcoming
election.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Like, I have met all 6 of the TDs in the Social Democrats, and I've met a lot of the TDs in Sinn Féin, Fianna Fáil, Labour. I've met quite a few of them throughout the years. But what I found with the Social Democrat TDs was that they treated you like a person, They didn't treat you like you were just another voter. To them, you're a person, you're an individual, you're not some vote in a count centre,
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people like about them, and I think that's what's going to drive them forward.
That's it.
But an interesting topic then that comes up as well is between Ivana Babchek and Holly Cairns. Ivana Babchek comes out and says, oh yeah, we're all for merging with the Social Democrats. And what does Holly Cairns come out and say?
No.
Absolutely not. No, thank you. While we've considered your offer, that's going to be a no from us, right? And you kind of have to see that Labour are suffering as a result of not remaining progressive, not remaining in tune with the average voter.
Yeah.
And I could actually see a lot of Labour voters voting for Social Democrats in the next local and general election, right?
Could happen.
And also I think we need to speak to the fact as well that with the new upcoming general election, you've had a boundary change come into play.
Yeah.
Because we've both seen this in East Cork, right? We have Sean Sherlock retiring in Cork or stepping down in the next general election because Deputy Sherlock will no longer be able to hold the same voting block that he had, right? And like Sean Sherlock is a fantastic TD. Like he is brilliant. Like I remember back in the 2011 election, he went around to nearly every house in Cove and knocked on the door himself, right?
No, fair play, like.
And I could see an interesting thing with Labour actually losing that seat to either Sinn Féin or the Social Democrats.
Yeah.
We could actually probably see Sinn Féin trying to get another candidate in East Cork, but I just don't think it'll work for them for one reason and one reason alone.
Go on.
Sinn Féin they've just completely bottled it. They haven't kept up the momentum that they had 6 months ago. And I think a lot of disenfranchised voters, when Sinn Féin kind of came out in kind of support of immigration, right, kind of were demoralised and ended up heading over, say, to more right-wing leaning viewpoints, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sinn Féin have flip-flopped on immigration.
They have.
I mean, constantly.
And even Holly Cairns said this in her leader speech, right?
Yeah.
The fact of it is that we need talented immigrants and we need talented migrants in Ireland. One, because they're the backbone of the health service executive.
Yeah.
Two, they will do the jobs that an Irish person will not do, right?
Yep.
Like, we both know from experience, right? That from both working in hotels and stuff over the years, right? That
working in hospitality.
Exactly, right? That people, right? Like, Irish people are very picky and finicky when it comes to jobs. Because I know I am myself. Like, if I see a job out there, say on jobs.ie or jobadverts.ie, right?
Yeah.
I might look at it and go, nah, that's not for me, right? Whereas you get someone that's coming in as an economic migrant, right? I don't think there's such thing as an economic migrant. Anyone that's coming here is coming here for a better life. They're not coming here to scrounge off the tax and welfare system, because the funny thing is that what a lot of the far right won't tell you is, in order to claim unemployment benefit in Ireland, they actually have to work for at least 6 months to be able to claim it for 6 months.
There you go.
Right? And that's a very funny caveat that they won't tell you. They'll tell you, oh yeah, they're coming here just to lounge off social welfare. They're not.
No.
They actually have to work for 6 months in order to get their social welfare payments. And as well, a lot of those people are treated very, very badly. Like,
Yeah.
and like, I'll give you an example. In the healthcare system, right, here in Ireland, right, you have quite a lot of staff that are from Southeast Asia working here, because
And they're very talented. They're very good.
Exactly. Like, I know at least several Southeast Asian nurses working in the Bonds, CUH, the Mater Private, right?
Yeah.
And they are the nicest people and the hardest working people you could ever meet.
Absolutely.
And I know some Irish nurses as well who are just as fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, the thing is that, like, I don't want people to listen to this and think that I'm bashing Irish people, because I'm not, you know?
No, God.
I'm just trying to make a point here that we have to moderate our own viewpoints in order to make Ireland a better place, you know? Like, we're a fantastic country. I think we're
100%.
the best country in the world, right? I think we're better than the United States. I think we're better than Britain. And I think we're better than the UK.
Britain and the UK are the same.
Oh, sorry. Like, I think we're better than Britain for one reason alone, right?
Well, hold on. Moderate your viewpoint. Well, hold on. You were just saying Irish people need to moderate their viewpoints, and now you're just rattling off.
But you
better.
see,
like, if you think you're the best country in the world, okay, fair enough. But like, let's not downplay other countries as well.
okay,
Look, you can just list the positive things about this country.
okay, we're very friendly.
Yeah, 100%.
We absolutely are stone mad for the crack.
Yes.
We absolutely, beyond a reasonable doubt, are the best partiers in the world.
The best which, sorry?
Partiers.
Oh, yeah.
We love to party.
Yeah.
Right? And 4, right?
Yeah.
We make the best drink in the world.
Tenora? No, Guinness.
No, Sidona.
Sidona?
Yeah, made here in Cork. Sidona. Nicest thing ever.
What
Right?
about Murphy's? That's the best Cork drink of all time, sure.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
And if we're talking the best Irish drink of all time, it has to be Guinness.
Ah, yeah. Well, you see, technically, is Guinness Irish anymore? Because technically it's owned by Diageo, and Diageo aren't an Irish company, so...
Well, Guinness is still an Irish drink. I'm not going to...
Yeah, I suppose.
I won't get into the politics of this. But look, it's interesting, the point about Ireland. I was reading an interview with Brendan Gleeson, the Sunday Indo, about a week or two ago. And he said something that sort of, like, smacked me across the face, kind of psychologically, right? He said that Ireland now is in some ways what the US used to be, in that it's a country full of opportunity, that loads of people come here looking for opportunities and looking for better lives. And that, like, I read that and I was like, God almighty, it's like a smack across the face. And it's like, it sort of just tells you how much the country's transformed, like.
Definitely, Tom. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, and then you think I'm biased for thinking we're the best country in the world, you know?
Biased, I agree with you.
But you see, that's the reason I think we're the best country in the world.
I think we have a bit of a way to go, though, before we can truly claim the title.
That's true. But you know...
We're the best rugby country in the world.
Oh, definitely. Regardless of what the South Africans might think.
Or the New Zealanders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, so we're going to
We'll
finish
beat the
off
South Africans in July, anyway.
We're going to finish off the episode this week just talking a bit about the upcoming UK general election. There was
Be
a
an
bit
interesting one.
There was a bit of a conundrum in the UK over the weekend when a Worker Party MP actually took the seat in a by-election in the UK.
Rochdale, right?
Yeah,
the Rochdale by-election.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So everyone had expected Labour to come out on top, and this Worker Party MP comes out of left field and just steals the seat.
Well, Labour were running around like headless chickens. I mean, there was an incident where they removed the guy from the ballot. They didn't remove him from the ballot. The Labour Party withdrew their support from their candidate over remarks he made about the situation in the Middle East. But the thing is, the guy was on the ballot as a Labour candidate, right? But if elected, he would have been an independent. So I mean, it's nutty, like. So that's why this guy, George Galloway, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, George Galloway. That's why he was able to just come in and take the seat.
But I wouldn't be surprised if that Worker Party MP ends up joining Labour. It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, I think the Labour Party have kind of given up on some of their older values. I don't know if he would, but it could happen. Nothing's impossible.
Oh, exactly. And like, I think going into UK general election 2024 is, I think, the common consensus is that Sunak is going to call for the election around.
I was thinking it might be in the summer.
Yeah, I think he'll call for it around the summer for October, November time. But I wouldn't be surprised if he actually called it this month for the summer.
I was thinking that too, actually. I was thinking from a political perspective, and you're going to laugh at me. Is it not better to have a general election in the UK in the summer so that the weather's nice and people are in a better mood and they're like,
exactly,
maybe,
exactly.
Maybe I'll vote Conservative after all.
It's all about psychology, Tom. It's all about psychology.
Absolutely, 100%. Like, when's the last time you saw a general election held in January? Never.
Well, actually, that's not true because there was one held here in January in 2020.
That was February.
Was it? I thought it was January.
Fairly certain it was February.
Oh, well.
I remember because I was doing my TY work experience in February 2020. And there was an election as well.
yeah. Like, personally, I think Labour are going to win the next general election in the UK. And
I think they'll do well, certainly.
And I think it's going to be a TKO for Labour. That I think if we have any UFC supporters who are also political nerds like ourselves listening, I think it'll be a TKO for Labour. That it'll just be a complete knockout for Labour. That the Tories will be absolutely decimated in the next election.
But to use a rugby metaphor, it'll be a bonus point win for Labour.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
Could happen. We'll see.
And like, I think we're looking at very uncertain times. And if you're looking at the US, like, I think we're actually going to be we could be potentially looking at a second Trump term.
Yeah, look, I think it very well could happen. Now, see, the thing about the US election now, the one that's happening this year, I think it's going to be tight. Like, I think we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? I reckon the winner will literally get like 270 to 280. Like, it's going to be a tight one.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt.
But we're living through historic times.
Oh, we are, without a shadow of a doubt. And another thing I think we're looking at as well, Tom, is that I think while we might be looking at it, like, now my viewpoint could change on this, but I think that while we might be looking at a second Trump term, I think people shouldn't be so quick to rule out Biden either.
No, they shouldn't.
Because Biden last time left it very late in the field to come out ahead, right?
Yeah.
If you look at it, the polling was pretty much the same. Trump was leading the polling, right? That it was nearly certain Trump was going to get re-elected in 2020.
Yeah.
What happened? Joe Biden came out of left field again and stole his thunder, right?
The thing about Joe Biden is he's a skilled politician. Look, people talk a lot about his age. With age comes experience. He's been in public service for about 5 decades. He's an incredibly skilled campaigner, and I think no matter his politics, you're talking earlier about the Social Democrats and how, like, when they talk to you, you feel like a person. A lot of people who have met Joe Biden over the years say the same thing about him. They say, look, even if you don't agree on his politics, he's probably one of the most human people in politics. Like,
definitely.
He's a very empathetic person. And I don't think we've seen... Like, he hasn't put his foot on the accelerator yet for campaigning, but believe you me, he will come the summer. And I think, like, we haven't seen the best of Joe Biden yet. I think he's saving the best of his campaigning skills for a few months down the road now.
Oh, definitely. I reckon what we're going to see with Biden is we're going to see him, it's going to be like Rocky versus Drago from Rocky 4.
I reckon it could be.
I think it'll be an absolute slugging match between the two of them.
Yeah.
Them both throwing very heavy political punches.
Yeah.
But I reckon Biden will be Rocky, and he will. I reckon he could potentially pull it out of left field.
Just about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'd never underestimate the full might of the Democratic Party. Like.
Oh no! Like, and I wouldn't underestimate. Trump either.
No, God no.
Trump has this, like, Trump is a very populist president, right? And you can't rule out Trump completely.
Yeah.
Because ruling out Trump,
That's a dangerous thing to do.
that's a dangerous thing. They did that in 2016 and it
look what
came
happened.
back to
Yeah.
bite them
Absolutely.
with a vengeance, right? I reckon what we're going to see is it's going to be use a metaphor here, it's going to be a very bloody campaign, right?
Yeah.
You're going to see people swinging left and right at each other, right? And hoping to strike a dig, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
So, folks, that wraps up episode 1 of Jacked Up Politics.
Wait, before we wrap,
Yes, Tom?
it's Super Tuesday in the US today, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is. So, folks, by the time this episode goes out on Thursday, we'll have known a bit more about what happened on today. So, stay tuned for our episode in 2 weeks' time. Royer Naferma, or A Farmer's View, and we will talk to you then. Until next time, this is Jack and Tom signing off for Jacked Up Politics. Thanks for listening to the first episode. We hope you enjoyed, and thank you very, very much, and we'll see you on the next one.